Hi class. Um, so this video is not going to be a new lecture, but something extra. Mm. Um, just going to add on to what I talked about in the previous one, the previous lecture, just so that we can understand things a bit more and give a few examples, a few case studies so that you can maybe connect with them a bit better. Mm. So to recap a bit of what we have gone through, I've gone through two stories. One, oh, sorry, we got to three things. The first section, the first part of that video, we highlight a bit more about who we are, how we behave, and how um, we can influence ourselves, or we're influenced by our feeling and our perception. Meaning that mm, we ourselves are not truly us, in a sense that you changes all the time, depending on what mood feeling is propelling you to do so, and what are the voices that tell you to do those things. Now, for example, in the morning, fueled by hunger, mm, the voice starts concocting, starts feeding you suggestion, information of what to cook, what to order, what to do. Our job in that moment is to follow these voices to see which are the best option. It keep on, you know, proposing to you all the thing that you're familiar with, or sometimes they will ask you to try out something new. No. And we're just there as if we are a restaurant goer waiting for the waiter, waitress to suggest to us what's today's menu, what's the chef recommendation for today. Uh, mm. When we tell us order our mind to be as just like our role model, to be someone who we want to be, we find that it can flip the situation around. In cases where you feel like you are not able to do something, not able to stand up to someone, or rather in a situation where don't have the strength or the capability and don't have the wisdom to maneuver through it, by just merely thinking about your role model, the person that you want to be, that version of that person or that ideal, and by asking yourself, what would he do? What would she do? What would this embodiment, this person that I want to be, what would they do? By doing so, somehow we are able to muster that strength, gain that wisdom, find that way out. As if we are that person. We'll find that these phenomena happen all the time. Having a wonderful day, a bright morning, suddenly you met someone who you have a bad feeling towards, some person you don't like in your workplace, for example. You'll find that the day is ruined. From being someone who want to be lively, want to be happy, uh, now due to just merely seeing this person's face, somehow it flips the entire table around. And it flips without us knowing it. It comes with feeling and a voice. When you see that person's face, for example, the feeling of agitation arises. The voice inside you say, oh, look at that guy, or something like that. Something to get you into the mood, to follow that narrative, to follow that, to enable that person that to become reality. And we always flip back and forth all the time throughout the day, changing who we are every passing moment. Sometimes you can be this person for minutes, for hours, for days, for weeks. Now, sometimes flip-flopping back and forth very rapidly. But no matter who you are at at this moment, you find that you have to. It's not permanent. It will have to die and pass away eventually. That's why in Buddhism we have the concept of impermanence, of not true self, because we are assuming different self, different version of ourselves all the time, and it keep on moving forward, changing all the time. Because not every form is perfect. There'll be suffering towards it, meaning you sometimes want to be this person, sometimes doesn't want to be this person. By looking back at ourselves, our um, society, how we raise ourselves and our children, we find that we will often teach them about the person who you should look up to, who have a exemplary virtue in their respective aspect, so that we can allow ourselves and our young ones to um, embody those virtues, those great qualities. And it all start off by telling our mind, ordering our mind to know clearly of that, to set a goal basically. Mm, to set a goal. When we set a goal, we change to that person, to that normality. The reason I find that example is that I used the example before of a role model, is that we find ourselves coming back to it when we needed it the most, when we have that glory to be that person. It reminds yourself, what would he do? What would she do? And by asking the question, the minds tell you, what would he do? What would she do? What would this person do? What would this normality, this embodiment do? And you will say yes. You will accept them. And by listening to the voices and accepting them, you already create that order, which allow you to change, to enable that program to move you toward that becoming that person. Mm. It will then lead us to the forces behind those phenomenon, of the instinct and of the voices that's telling you this and that. When we go about our day, you'll find that there are many situations where the voices will try to paint a picture in your head. And if you're not careful of it, not cautious of it, you will accept them as reality. And you will um, have to bear the consequences afterwards. In a previous lecture, we used the example of a man who's a bit um, uncomfortable having his partner becoming close to his friend, for example, even though nothing happened, but one once he perceived those interaction, he say, or rather, the voice inside him assumed and said that, oh, look at that, they're getting uncomfortably close, or closer than you like. These smiles, these interaction, that thing, this thing means something behind the scene. I'll try to explain to you um, what those interaction meant, or where you're thinking about it. Just like what? Just like a bad friend whispering to your ear, trying to induce a fight. Just like a bad friend telling you that, hey, when someone say something nice to you, they're just doing it so that they can gain benefit from you. When someone say praise you for something nice, they say, oh, they're just lying, they're just being nice, being sarcastic, for example. And when we listen to those voices that aren't us, sounds like you though, but not you, because you didn't put any effort in it, then you take that as reality. Then it will go further. It will say that, you know what? These guys are two-faced. These guys are ingenuine, like this, like that. And you will, so therefore, because they are like this, like that, why don't you behave like this, like that towards them? Let them taste their own medicine, for example. I found myself being trapped like this multiple times, all because I made the mistake of listening to the voices, believing them. Mm. When when someone When someone you really care about does something very typical, very normal, the voices must use that as an excuse and say, oh, look at that person, that guy, that girl, look at them. Um, they don't care about you. They don't have you in their mind. They just doing this, doing that. Try to create that narrative uh, so that you will then behave in such a way that resemblance being cold to them, having cold shoulders. Every time, once you accept those voices, the next time you interact with them, the voice say, don't look at her, don't look at him. They don't care about you. Um, they're not genuine to you as you are to them, something like that. And you'll find that these comes out of nowhere. And the person on the other side become confused. Like, what did I do wrong? Yeah. From something regular, something ordinary, normal, becomes something concerning, something to fight over against about. To fight for something to fight with. So therefore, have to acknowledge that these different voices they use something in common. They have something in common. They always uses feeling over everything else, feeling above all else, feeling and a really really shallow excuse, really really shallow um maybe like excuse or explanation. This person doesn't care about you with a feeling. Thus, they explain a lot. And when you ask, and when they want to make an argument of why this person doesn't care about you, they'll then bring up images, memories of that fit that narrative. Look at the way she or he behave, the way they think, the way they speak. When they say this thing, it means that they have a meaning behind it. All these crazy stuff that just try to fit the narrative. But you find that never have any basis, never have any logic, reasoning behind it, but always with that feeling we accept them. We accept them without we realizing it. So therefore, when they are able to kind of like sweet talk us into believing them, then tell you how to behave. You know what? Tomorrow, cut her out, cut him out. Why do you have to care about someone who doesn't care about you? Why do you have to do this, do that, if that person doesn't this and that, for example? Then when you believe them, accept them based on this feeling of being small, anxious, guilty, shame, lust, anger, discomfort, agitation, whatever it is, then you follow through. You become the pawn of your inner bad instinct, inner nature, without you realizing it. They will whisper to you, hey, you're doing the right thing, nah? Why do you have these kind of people around you if they don't care about you at all? Nah? It's okay to be alone. Nah? Be alone. Don't have to care about these people. And you find that through those actions, you slowly feel you will feel a bit of comfort. Not because there's comfort, but rather you feel like the voices are right. Keep on having confirmation biases. They're right, they're right. It's good for me to cut this person out of my life, even though that person did nothing wrong. On the contrary, they might be perfectly fine. They might have different intention. They might genuinely care about you, but they might have different way to express it. But even so, because you rather believe the bad voices inside your own than your loved ones, than the genuineness that those people around you gave, then you inadvertently destroy everything that you have. That have been some of my personal experiences long ago and not long ago too. Um, mm, and that's crazy because in the past, I found that by believing those voices again and again, I find that, oh, I don't have to get hurt anymore. uh, Because you know what? The blame is on the people around me, this person, that person, but never really point the blame to the right person, being the voice inside, being my bad nature inside. That's because when you have a bad friend, the bad friend will never, ever, ever reveal to you that they are a bad friend. They'll always tell you, point to you, who are the bad guy, everyone apart from yourself, everyone apart from them. So therefore, don't make the same mistake. Or rather, if you do make that, tell yourself that right now things are okay. They will use confusion, blurriness, as if you're stuck in your own world. We find that when we are in that place, we are stuck in our own little world. Like someone have this, like you're walking inside an eggshell. Now your entire body locked like this, like a doll inside the casing, the shell of the packaging, mm, and governed to behave in such a way that it's disheartening to witness. It's disheartening to yourself, to your loved ones. And sometime in those moments, you'll see that you gaze your eye to them and you see that, oh, those people are hurting. But the voice will say, it's okay. It will pass. Nah, it will pass. It's for the best. It's for the best. Mm. For the best for you to be alone. For the best to cut your best friend out. It's for the best. Never. So even when you see those signs, you still chose to believe the voices inside you rather than the sign from your loved one that your action behavior is hurting them. Mm. You see these cases in those who have severe anxiety, social anxiety, guilt, shame, or similar theme. You'll see a similar pattern for those who love to be angry, discomfort, agitated, all the same too, but in a much more wrathful, much more burning uh, means. You find that they are also locked inside an eggshell, but for them, it's a burning eggshell. Everything burns, everything spark, everything try to wall them up, both inside and outside. Even a cute puppy make them mad. Even sound of children running around having fun agitate them. They will in the midst of fire that they have to live in. Mm. We find ourselves using looking back at our own past, looking yourself in the mirror and said, what have I done? Who have I become in the past 2-3 weeks, in the past month, past years? That's really sad, angry, or whatever adjective you want to use to yourself. But now that you have come out of it, you're able to see the differences between you right now who are liberated, who have escaped from that shell, that prison that you are in, compared to where you're in there right at in the past. Mm. And I want to highlight a bit more about this imprisonment feeling of a story of a man who came back from a long journey abroad from his work. He went out for like a really long business trip from Monday to Friday. He abroad. He came back on Friday to meet his wife and child. On Saturday morning, they rejoice to see that their husband, their father is back, uh, and that mm, and that they're having fun upstairs in the afternoon after a wonderful lunch. In their home, they have a two-story building. So at home, on top of their house, their daughter just starting off playing with her dolls, with his wife, caring for her. He enjoying a sip of tea, walking around with his family here and there. Mm. They're having a blast, reconnecting, talking about stories of how the interaction in the business meeting, of how wonderful thing they have been through in that country and wonderful food he come. Until suddenly he heard a honk outside his window. In his two-story building, one of the side that is adjacent to the road is full of windows. And he looked down at that and he found that his friend have honked, have heard the news that he came back and asked him to go for a drink. And, as he looked down the window, he saw his friend making a sign, a drinking sign like this. And from that, just like a man who witnessed his wife and daughter being beached, he also found himself having to decide to go with his friends or to be with his wife and daughter. A dilemma now. He have to argue with himself, with the voices. One voice say to him, hey, bring up this female familiarity. Your friend been with you for like 10 years. They haven't been you. You see all the fun. Look at their faces. Why don't you go with them? Have fun. Go have fun. Go do everything you want. But the clarity tell him about the appropriateness, about who's important to him, who's genuine to him, who's give their life, who hand her, who hands him her life in marriage, who promised to live together with a daughter. Say, hey, these people, more than your friends think about you day in day out, waiting for your return. When you come back, how look at how happy they are. They could have done anything they want. They have their own passion or everything, but they chose to be with you. So are you gonna abandon your wife and your kid to your friend or not? You have to back and forth between himself to decide what reality do he want, what future program that he want to run, his friend or his family. Unfortunately for him, the voices that goes to his friend is stronger. They're able to give more excuses, more argument, although illogical, but with the feeling of pressure and memory of past having fun and the faces and like, oh, I've been friends with them for like 10 years and everything, but my wife, not so much, something like that. He chose to go with his friend. And he found that when he does that, he then trapped in his world, no longer become a loving husband. Because why? Because he immediately turned around and walked down the stairs, past his wife begging for him, asking, hey, honey, where are you going? His child, still 2 years old, doesn't know what to do, but know that her father is leaving her right now, going somewhere else, playing with her doll, but her hands stopped with her dolls, looking at her father to see where's he going. No matter how much they plead, no matter how cute the daughter is, the father never sees them, never hear them. Why is it that a person who loves his daughter and wife so much no longer hear their voices, their cry? For someone who enjoy the comfort of his family, no longer enjoy those comforts, but rather crave for his friend's comfort. He walks down the house, open the door, enter the car, and go to the pub. At the back of his head, his conscience remind him, hey, don't do that, nah. Don't do that. Can't you see your wife begging for you? Uh, can you see the looks on your daughter's face? But for him, no matter how much the voices nag him or try to reason with him, he find that it is unable to change him. For that he already made the decision to go. Had to follow through with his action, with his decision. Going to the car, sitting, enjoying, saying hey to their friend as if he's happy, but inside not so much. Guilt and shame build up. Memories of his wife and daughter comes up. But what can he do? He have to go to the pub, uh, order a drink, try to try to forget about what he's done while he was with his friend. But the voice doesn't stop nagging. The picture of his wife, his daughter, bring on him every day while he was waiting for a drink, while drinking, while talking to his friend. he would have to go through all the emotion until his friend left, until he finished drinking. Then he realized his mistake. Then he can have the capability, the power, the energy to take himself, have control over his mind, his body to go back to his wife and child. Not during, not anything, but only afterward. Only afterward does he have finally able to control himself to do what's right. All because he made the mistake of running the program. All because he made the mistake of saying yes to the voice without realizing that it is his bad intuition, bad instinct that is pressuring him to say that. Our instinct have no power to control you, but only you have the power to say yes or no. But because our bad instinct is not smart, they use fear, they use illogicalness, they use excuses and pressure to nag, to blame, to everything you for that you do what they want you to do. There's an example of a kid who arrived here. She knows full well that going outside doesn't bring much fruit to her life. May not now. And find the virtue and way of being here. But for some reason, every day, like a pit of hell that she's into, cannot sit still, cannot bear anymore of why, cannot bear the pain anymore of being here. Even though no one hurt her, nothing happened, but she feel uncomfortable, not at ease. And the voice say it's blame this, blame that, blame everything, apart from itself, apart from the internal pressure by the instinct to tell her to go, to go, to go, making her believe that maybe, just maybe by new scenery, new this, new that, she might change. And when finally she get to change her clothes and get to leave, a big smile on her face come out and say, "Oh, happy to leave." Just like us when we fall through the pressure, we do it not because we want to, but we do it because we just want that sweet relief of suffering. We want happiness. And just like a gangster, a mafia who put a gun to your head, when you follow their action from a threatening face, they'll take the gun away and say smile. With a smile and say, "Oh, very good. Go on, go ahead." But when they want to keep you back in line, they'll bring out the gun again and try to force you again. Your life no longer your own. That kid, she can't stay even she want to stay. She couldn't stay here even if she want to stay because it's like so uncomfortable for her to stay. Cannot understand why. Just that internally it ruptures, ruptures, ruptures. Our life control like this every day, every day, every day. Thinking we have, thinking we are the owner of our life, but rather it's not. Rather it's not knowing what's controlling behind the scene, not knowing that you are being manipulated, being controlled by your inner bad nature, inner bad instinct, using pressure and voices. So next time, every time. So therefore, like the homework I said in the previous lecture and the other previous classes, order your mind to know clearly of yourself, of your body, so that whenever thought arises, you are aware of it. We want to break the chain of hastily believing all the voices, hastily going through with all the narrative that comes to you. When we're not mindful, um we become easily like a light eared. I'm not sure it's the expression in English, but your ear become really light and things easy to fit into you. But when you're conscious, you're mindful, you have like a break. Someone says something to you, a break first. What did they say? What did they mean? Should I accept? Should I not accept? When this is where you find yourself able to counteract your bad voices, your bad instinct. When you meet someone today and the person inside you, the voice inside you say, "Oh, this person, look at her, she's so ugly." immediate none, immediate um, impression. You can have to say, "Oh, stop, stop, that's not right. She's not ugly. Look at her, how nice and beautiful she is. Her demeanor, her costume, her expression, the way she um, handle herself." You find that in times like this, you can only do so if you're mindful of yourself, if mindful of your thought, if you have the goal to improve yourself to be a better person. But when you're not mindful, you don't have that goal, you didn't order your mind to be that person, to change the normality. You'll accept, oh, right, look at her face, look at her shoe, her purse, her bag, whatever it is. Or his, you look at how he looks, how he behaves, how he smells, blah, blah, blah. So to make sure we have the first barrier to our bad instinct, take what you learned for the past 2 weeks to good use. Order your mind clearly to know yourself, your posture, your body, your mantra, so that whenever thought arises, you know that, oh, there's thought. So then you can then examine, hey, is this the right view? Is this the right way to go about life? Is that the right way to think? Yeah. Is that logical? Am I thinking like an adult, or using my feeling emotion as the number one thing? Yeah. Because no matter the feeling, the emotion, the rightness, logic, reasonability, appropriateness always have to come first. If it's truly wonderful, then the wonderful feeling plus logic comes together. If it's right, but it goes beyond, if it's right sometime, not everything fit into place, but you don't feel good, you find out, oh, maybe I'm just a naughty person. Not that you are, but your mind is. Am I a stubborn person? No. What my friends, my family say, they are right, they are correct. But why is it that it's crumbling inside? Why is it that it's receding inside? Oh, because my mind is like a little crybaby, a spoiled kid. You find that for those who have a character of a real person, a truthful real person, they will admit when they're wrong, they're wrong. When they're right, they're right. Even no matter how smart they are, when someone who other people think are lesser to them, they will listen to what they say, the logic. And if that lesser looking person says something that's correct, that's logical, he said, oh, you are right. My views are wrong, you are right. Those who are straight, who are truthful, who are true, they don't have ego. They will use basis of logic, reasonability, appropriateness. They will use that above all else, above feeling emotion. If it is, even if it goes against his value, his goal, his aim, the person that he thinks he want to be. And that's how we can properly manage against our instinct. Because our good instinct is a smart person, a great intuition that will explain to you logically with reasonability. When you follow through, you can defend yourself. You say why I did it, for what reason, what purpose. Even when your rival, your arch enemy, someone who are eyeing onto you, you feel like sometimes you have a target on your back. Even those people have cannot say anything about you because what you do is right. It's reasonable, logical, appropriate. Even your worst enemy cannot fault you because you are right. Even if it goes against everything that they believe. But just like a kid, just like a person who is not smart enough, not wise enough to argue against a smarter person, they have to have feeling of disappointment, of discomfort, because they can't win at all. So therefore, no matter what you do, be that person who shroud themselves, or rather build themselves up on basis of reason, logic, accountability, reasonability, because it is those things that will protect them, will protect you. The voices can never hurt you anymore. You give your life saving to a cause, to someone when they needed it, when it's right in cause. You'll feel happy. Even when the shame, the guilt come in of something that you think is inappropriate, goes against the norm of the place, but those voices doesn't have any power over you because you can argue back. It's true that what I did might not look nice, might not seem appropriate for my status, but this is a hallmark of a good person, of a reasonable person, of a logical human being. So therefore, isn't it right for me to do what I did? Or do you want me to not do it? No. Even your harshest critic will have to surrender to your logic. So therefore, if your harshest critic can surrender to your logic, then your bad instinct can also surrender to it too. That's how we're gonna defeat the voice in our head, the bad instincts head. So therefore, strive for wisdom, strive for capability in practicing mindfulness so that our automatic system can clean. Strive for wisdom so that we can learn more, understand more, the right view, right understanding, right perception. And to not add on to um, the arsenal of the bad instinct, be careful of what you think. Don't accept their thought, accept their voices because they're teaching you every day of how to look at life. They will teach you how bad this person is, how uncomfortable this place is. They'll teach you everything so that they can control you, make you leave, make you stay, make you say those things, make you become a person that you don't want to be. Just like a bad friend governing you. When I look at it, I thought of like a movies of of like a bad guy where the real bad guy is not the bad guy itself, but the secretary or the sub or the sidekick who then governs the main bad guy. Is this smart little kid who governs the sidekick who governs the main bad guy. And your bad instincts like that. Whispers in your ear, narrate to you this and that. The bad guy listen and do so, do so. So therefore it's the bad guy is the guy that is bad or the sidekick who feed him information that's bad. Same with you too. You are a good person, but we often have this sidekick, the bad sidekick, bad friend ourselves that you often believe more than yourself, more than your loved ones. So I hope that this small stories, this small segment can help you understand a bit more about the instinct, about yourself. And hopefully will make a few more so that you understand this topic a lot more better. So therefore, thank you very much for listening. I'll see you next time.